Hey guys, this is Will at Third and Long. Today we are going to be breaking down the Week 2 NFL games, who wins, who loses, and what we predict that final score will be. Hit that like button and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get started because we got a lot of games. Thursday night game at 8 p.m. on NBC. We have the Minnesota Vikings at the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Philadelphia Eagles won last week versus the Patriots, but it was not a very good game offensively for the Eagles, and they did give up a lot of passing yards to Mac Brown. But they're coming home. I do think that they rebound here, have a good game. Vikings had a very bad game versus the Buccaneers, gave up a lot of passing yards to Baker Mayfield. Kirk Cousins did get a lot of yards, but we know that Kirk Cousins never does good prime time at night. So I'm definitely picking the Eagles to win here. I think it's going to be about 30-16 Eagles win. Next game we have Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox, the Green Bay Packers at the Atlanta Falcons. Both of these teams won last week. Packers look good on both sides of the ball. Jordan Love did look pretty good. Defense did play well. Falcons, all of those weapons, but they don't use them. They do not throw the ball well. So I think the Packers defense is going to eat up Ritter. Even though they have those weapons, they do not use Bijan Robinson. They do not use Kyle Pitts. So what's the point of having them anyways? I think Packers defense gets the win versus the Atlanta offense, and the Packers move to 2-0. Packers are going to win about 30-21. Next game we have coming up is the Las Vegas Raiders at Buffalo Bills, Sunday 1 p.m. on CBS. Now, the Raiders had a so-so game. Carr had about 300 yards. He didn't look too comfortable passing the ball. They didn't want that much from him. Now, the Bills had a very bad game Monday night. So they're on the short week here. Josh Allen did not play well. The Buffalo Bills did not play well versus the Jets. They did lose to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. So I'm picking the Bills to completely rebound here and for Josh Allen to go off and silence his critics. He'll probably throw for about 350 yards this week. So I'm picking the Bills to win 33-20 versus the Raiders. Next game we have coming up is the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. Baltimore Ravens had a lot of offensive line players out. We'll see if Mark Andrews plays. J.K. Dobbins hurt. He will not be playing. They still don't have the rushing game figured out. They still have no running back number one. Cincinnati had the worst game that you could ever possibly have last year. I think Joe Burrow had like 83 yards. It was so horrible that it will never happen again. So I am picking the Bengals to completely rebound from whatever that was this past weekend to get a big win versus the Ravens. I'm picking the Bengals to win 27-20. Next game I'm picking is the Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. So the Seattle Seahawks actually lost pretty bad last week versus the Rams. It's pretty concerning. That was just week one, but Geno Smith did not look good. The defense did not look good. They will get better, but that to me raised some red flags, definitely. The Detroit Lions beat a banged up Chiefs team, but it doesn't matter. They smelled blood in the water and they took advantage of the Chiefs while they were down. They finished last year hot. I think that carries into this year. The Lions will beat the Seahawks. I'm going to say about 29-20. Next game we have coming up, the Colts at the Houston Texans, Sunday 1 p.m. on Fox. This is the battle of the rookies. So the Colts have Anthony Richardson starting. Had a pretty decent game last week as his first starter, but no Jonathan Taylor. Houston Texans are rolling out C.J. Stroud, which I actually think he performed the best of all of the rookie quarterbacks last week. He was pretty decent, so I think that's what's going to get them the win. The Colts just don't have the weapons, especially without Jonathan Taylor to chew up clock time. So I think the Texans will squeak this one out. I'm going to say 19-16. Next game we have Kansas City Chiefs at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a really fun game. Two young quarterbacks slugging it out. Now, Kansas City did lose last week, but they were without Kelsey. They were without Chris Jones. Both of those players are supposed to be back this week. That's a big bump for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will be out for blood, trying to throw the ball downfield. Jaguars did have a pretty good win last week versus the Colts. Looked a little rusty, but Calvin Ridley is a huge pickup as wide receiver number one for just a fourth-round pick. I think the Jags actually pull this out because the Chiefs need a wide receiver to step up, and it's definitely not Tony. He has butterfingers, so someone else needs to be stepping up. I think the Jags pull this one out and send the Chiefs to 0-2 to start the year. Jaguars win 31-30, so kind of a shootout. Next game we have the Chicago Bears at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So The Chicago Bears lost last week. Fields, again, is leading the team in rushing. They need to find a running back, number one. That's not sustainable for him to keep having to run the ball that much. Baker Mayfield had a great game last week. Like I said, you have really good Baker sometimes, really bad Baker sometimes. There's no middle ground, so it's kind of hard to pick Baker Mayfield games because you never know which Baker's showing up. I think good Baker shows up this week just because the Chicago defense has some question marks, and I don't understand the running to Justin Fields constantly. He cannot be your lead rusher. They must make him throw the ball. He needs to get over 200 passing and less than 50 rushing every game now. So I think the Bucs actually pull this one out. The Bucs move to 2-0. Bears move to 0-2. Buccaneers will win 24-16. Next game, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at Tennessee Titans. Both of these teams lost last week. The Chargers defense looked awful, but that was a great game versus the Dolphins. It was a shootout. I do think that their defense, led by Bosa, will do better this week because they really can't do worse. Now, the Titans are the opposite. They have a great defense. The offense played like garbage. I think that will continue because they still have Tannehill at quarterback, and Derrick Henry cannot do everything. He can't pass, catch, and run the ball. I think the Chargers rebound here. This is the perfect team for their defense to get back on track because they have no offense. And their offense will continue to play well. I think Justin Herbert will have about 280 yards passing. Chargers will rebound, and the defense will perform well. Chargers will win 27-17. Next game, we have the New York Giants at Arizona Cardinals. A play of the kind of teams who played awful last week. Cardinals are probably the worst team in the NFL. Giants got completely shut out. That was a embarrassment. Daniel Jones played horrible, does not deserve the contract that he got, but it doesn't matter. Cardinals are in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. They're trying to throw every game. I do think the Giants completely rebound here, get back on track. They're way better than they played last weekend. They're going to get a lot of sacks. They're going to get a lot of pressure. Giants completely rebound, get a good win. I'm going to say 26-21. Next game, we have San Francisco 49ers at Los Angeles Rams. So the 49ers looked like the best team in the country last week on both sides of the ball, offense, defense. That team is loaded. They beat the Steelers up. Rams had a great win, had 30 points. I don't see that happening again. I don't really know how that happened last weekend. Good for Sean McVay, good for Stafford, but I don't think that that's a foundation for the rest of the year. I think the 49ers win this game 30-21. Next game, we have New York Jets at Dallas Cowboys. Jets played great last week with Wilson at quarterback, but Rodgers is gone, so I really don't think the Jets have any chance here. Cowboys, great showing. They need to get the offense on track because you can't rely on the defense to shut everyone out and only win games with 230 yards. But I think the Cowboys offense will have a better game. Defense will continue to play well. Jets, Wilson's just going to have a tough time. I think the Cowboys are going to win 30-16. Next game, we have Washington Commanders at Denver Broncos Sunday, 4:25 on CBS. Washington Commanders, decent team, well-rounded, got the win. Denver Broncos were not pushing the ball downfield. Sean Payton, like I said, he had Drew Brees for 20 years, only won one Super Bowl. I'm not that impressed by that. He is a good coach, but he's not Bill Belichick in his prime. I do think that the Washington Commanders will win this one because the Broncos, they don't seem to throw the ball past 4 yards, and that's just not going to work. Commanders win 23-17. Next game, we have the Miami Dolphins at New England Patriots. Dolphins did win last week. Tua had like 460 yards. Tyreek Hill had like 220 yards. Waddle had 77 yards. Great performance. Shootout. I loved it. Dolphins looked like a really good team. Patriots defense lost to the Eagles, but Bill Belichick's defense played really good. Never underestimate the defensive play. It will always keep them in the game. I think it's the defense that keeps this game close. I'm actually calling for the upset here. Patriots win 24-23 just due to the defense stifling and getting a lot of pressure on Tua. Hopefully Tua does not get hurt, but Mac Jones, Bill O'Brien makes the offense serviceable because last year it was trash. I think it makes it serviceable. Defense keeps them in. They win the game 24-23 in an upset. Next game, we have the Saints at Carolina Panthers. Monday at 7 p.m. on ESPN. The Saints with Carr there, they didn't look too bad. They had a pretty decent game. They're not really pushing the ball or using the offense too much, but it was just week 1. Panthers, Young had a pretty decent game, but it was his first game starting in an NFL setting. So I think Derek Carr plays well. He carries the team. I think the Saints move to 2-0 just because the Panthers aren't that good. Saints win 24-16. And then the next Monday night, we have 2 Monday night games now. Cleveland Browns at Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland Browns had a good game, but Deshaun Watson still looks rusty once he's been back for so long. So last year was fine because it had been a while since he played, but now you're starting to wonder, like, is this the new Deshaun Watson? Will he just always kind of be rusty now? So Browns offense definitely needs to get better, but they still have Chubb and he's great. Steelers, we can stop the Kenny Pickett talk. He didn't look good. Steelers didn't look good last week, but they still have a good defense. But I am picking the Browns to pull this one out unless the Steelers completely rebound, which is always possible. I think the Browns get the win 23-17. And the Browns move to 2-0. So that's my breakdown of the Week 2 NFL picks. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks.